Welcome to the Vocal Lab Podcast with your hosts Shelby Rollins and Jason Catrone, bringing you the best from the music industry. Get ready for first-class conversations packed with exclusive techniques and transformative insights, all designed to help you reach your top note.
Oh man, Jason.
Wow, that's a heavy way to start this one.
We've been here all day. Let's remove the fourth
Guess what?
wall for our audience.
I'm everywhere I am every day, all day.
I mean, we've been recording
episodes
there we go.
All
day.
Okay.
So my butt hurts. This chair is like giving me some old lady
Can we
aches
get like
and pains. I need a new chair.
Therapist on staff, massage therapist.
Yeah.
But
I'm excited.
What was your point?
I was just my God, I'm tired. Can we do this? We can do
this.
What? I mean, I like doing this.
No, I do too. But
yeah.
These just for the listeners out there, you sit in one place. I mean, people get it. They work. They do what they do.
Right. They're probably sitting down listening to this podcast.
Yeah, and
maybe they're on a walk.
It's we should do a podcast where we just walk and talk.
I'll bring my walking pad treadmill.
Oh yeah, the sound would probably be annoying.
Yeah, it would for sure.
I was just gonna say, you focus in on do one thing for several hours at a time. You start to just be ready to be done.
Yeah.
So
what we're saying, guys, is that you're getting the worst podcast.
Yeah, you're gonna love this one.
This is gonna be great and terrible.
No, you're just telling people how you feel.
No, it's fine. I'm tired.
No, it's actually really good. It's actually like bundling our pods.
Oh yeah. Well, logistically, it's the only way to do it.
Is it? Oh, for us,
yes.
Yeah.
To actually make it happen, is you gotta cram a bunch of sessions, recordings, and episodes into a day, and
drop them
one at a time.
Unless you're Joe Rogan,
you just do it every day. Yeah. Or there's other podcasts that only release 2 podcasts a month or 1 a month or whatever.
Yeah, and there's people who just sporadically do it.
Yeah.
And there are more other people who do it daily. I've always been fascinated by...
Daily's crazy.
Daily crazy. I've always been fascinated by... I like the thought of a daily TV show format because
and
they're usually 30 minutes to an hour,
strategy.
Right? And you kind of in out. And
Bobby Bones does that.
Yeah, I kind of like that thought process. What really, I get stressed if I really think about if I ever had to do that. I could do it for sure. Like the radio hosts who just talk for 3 hours by themselves. A lot of the political pundits
talk radio.
They may have one other person sometimes, but there are many of them that just talk for. I forget who 2 of the biggest are right now. I don't even know because I don't listen to those shows. But I remember the late Rush Limbaugh who kind of. I think he might have been the first to make that long format just himself.
Yeah.
But he would sit in his house in Florida behind that mic for 3 hours a day.
That's crazy.
Just talking. That's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
You could do that because you're a talker.
So could you.
Probably. But yes, I could.
What
I'm getting at is that I would be exhausted and bored.
And just laughing because he's like, "Are you serious? Of course you could do this." Because, he likes to make jokes that I can just go, blah, 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 and then he's kind of like, "Okay, I was talking to my daughter about this the other day, and we were talking about boys and girls and the kids these days, and they're texting, and girls might text this whole paragraph, and the guy just responds with
"Okay,
yeah, okay, cool."
And then they're hurt.
And you have to, the girl has to understand,
he doesn't care.
It's not that he necessarily doesn't care about you or what you say, and he might think that you are very extra, but he also might just be kind of has nothing else to say, and it's not something to take personal, but just to be like, you know what, that's all he has to say, and that's okay. Yeah. Don't think, oh my gosh, he hates me, he doesn't like me.
Short and sweet and to the point. There's nothing wrong with that.
I was like, I'll text him all sorts of long stuff, and his answer is okay.
Guess what that's called?
Efficiency.
Efficiency on his part, managing expectations on your daughter's part.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to set her up for success.
Yeah.
She's getting to that age.
Yep. Let us help you be successful. That's what Carlos and I's old manager Jill used to always say. When at a restaurant, at a hotel,
let us
definitely
help us help you.
Yeah.
Help us help you be successful.
Yeah. How can we help you be? Let us help you be successful.
Well, speaking of Jill, your old manager, who comes up often on this podcast.
Yeah.
I wonder if she ever listens and hears how often you talk about her.
No, probably not.
But that goes back to your old stomping ground show days of Tenore. And our topic today is all about our live performance experience and lessons from the stage. And you and Carlos have like countless stories of Tenore, and I've heard so many of them here.
I think anyone who was ever in a group of any kind that toured extensively has stories that don't stop.
Days.
And over time, I think you make up your own stories just to kind of get through the trauma of the stories that did happen.
Did you ever tell the story? I can't remember if you did. We've talked about it off camera. Did you ever tell the story about in the van and the bag of...
Yeah, the squirrels.
Squirrels.
I told that on other podcast.
That's not really a performance story. It's a touring story.
Yeah.
But
didn't I told that, right? I'm pretty sure I told it
I think so.
On one of the early podcasts.
I think so. If you're going to go through the Rolodex of performance lessons that you've learned in all of your years, throw out one story and the lesson you learned from it. It could be good, bad, funny, terrible, serious. Give me one.
Well, here's one. I was singing at this huge church in Oklahoma City. This was pre-Tenore. This was like me doing like my solo stuff. Mm-hmm. I've been invited out by the Oklahoma Baptist Convention for a conference, a women's conference, and then
wait, is this the one where you...
Well, no, I had many trips to Oklahoma, okay, in those days. But I did tell that story about...
Very inappropriate one? Yeah.
That's not
okay.
I get invited to sing this huge church on a Sunday, and it was very traditional Southern Baptist church. And they had choir, small orchestra, a lot of people out in the crowd, and, you know, the big pulpit, the big wooden one.
Yeah.
You know, you can see it.
Very much.
And their contemporary service was, quote unquote, like I guess a worship team, a vocal team, that's what you'd say. So it was the worship leader and then 3 singers. Well, he asked me if I would be a part of it. He's like, you know, it's going to be great. It's easy. You'll know all the songs. There was like 1 or 2 like somewhat contemporary. I mean, they were contemporary, but like nothing like cutting current. And then there was like a hymn that they threw in there. And he's like, you'll know all the songs. And don't worry about the lyrics or whatever, because they'll be on the screen behind you, like all churches do.
The confidence monitor.
Yeah, the confidence monitor. So we get to the hymn, and he's like, and he would just call it out as we're going. He's like, you take the 3rd verse. And I'm like, I don't even know the 1st and 2nd verse. Never heard this song in my life. But I'm like, okay, thank you for giving me the 3rd verse so that
I can learn the melody.
So I can learn the melody on 1 and 2. And so I walk right up to the front for my verse as it comes up. You know, there's a big turnaround with the orchestra and stuff. And
oh my gosh, my hips just popped so loud.
Not only which would have been fine if the 2nd verse had stayed on the confidence monitor, but it just went to a completely different song. Oh. And I knew that song, so I'm like, these are not the lyrics. And so I'm just standing there like literally in shock, like what's going on? And the musicians try to like start over, right? It's not an official train wreck yet. And I'm like, and she's like scrolling, trying to get things on. She realizes it's not the right. And finally they kick in, and I'm realizing I've got to just say something. Like everyone's out here looking at me. Yeah. And because the audience wasn't going to sing with this part. This was just going to be me stepping out. I don't know how they knew all that. So literally, I just have to stop and say, I turn to him, and I'm like, I need this. And I look back, and it's still not. I'm like, you guys, I don't know the words, and the words aren't up there, and we're just gonna have to start this song over. I felt this big.
Oh man.
I felt this big.
Yeah.
And even through all my growing up experience of having little mistakes happen or forgetting a lyric or, things just happen. It's live.
Yeah.
This was probably the most intense, like everything rushing to my head, the sweat from everywhere.
Wow, yeah.
Because all these eyes are on me. I don't know anyone in this place. And they think I'm some big deal that's flown in to be at their church on Sunday morning. And they had built it all up. And I just had to like admit this was not going to work.
Yeah.
What's the learning point from that? I think it humbled me a bit.
Sure.
It was like...
Sure. I bet it was... make sure you require them to submit all songs they expect you to sing.
Yes, something like that, right?
Don't assume. You know what happens when you assume, right?
Mm-hmm.
You make an ass of you and me.
Oh.
You ever heard that? I learned that
I
from
think
a friend
I
of mine
have.
in college.
Assume ass.
ASSUME. You make an ass of you and me when you assume.
Where's the of? You just throw that in there.
That. It's an extra. They learned, I bet, a lesson in, I guess we should probably double check that he knows the songs that we're throwing out there. You know what I mean?
That, and also like, I don't know. I think it was a new person on the projectors thing, whatever.
Yeah. You'll know it. It's that third obscure verse, so that hymn you've never heard before.
Don't sing obscure hymns. That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the moral.
Man. Oh gosh, there's so many, I think, valuable lessons from the live, and often artists want to wait until they've really crafted the right body of work to perform, and the songs are just right, and their skill is good enough to be on display. And I find that procrastination just continues to persist, and it's perfectionism is just procrastination in disguise, I think. But like, it makes us think that we have to wait to show up to the world as if we're not worthy enough as we are. And there's so much value in the humility that kind of comes from those early performances where you're just starting out and it's kind of rough. You know what I mean? And we're all like, oh, but you only get one first impression, right? And we talked about that with Blake, of kind of like people resisting putting any content out there on the internet because it's like not crafted enough. It's not perfect enough. Like, just start somewhere, show up. And I'd performed a ton before I moved to New York, but when I did move to New York, my first show, I think I have told this story.
You did.
But I performed at a bar in the Lower East Side that my friends, my like kind of hedonistic Guitar Center employee friends, they were just like binge drinkers.
Did you just lump all Guitar Center?
Pretty much. Listen, if you've ever worked at Guitar Center, you know that it's sort of it's a culture. But it was an interesting life experience working there for about a year or so. Anyway, they were total binge drinkers, and they were like, we love this bar and they'll let you play and it'll be great. And they had talked about this bar before, but I'd never been. And so they booked me this show, or I don't know how it came to be. And I show up with my guitar, and let me paint the picture. Me, here I am, okay? I look kind of like this, I guess. And I got my acoustic guitar that I can plug in, my little microphone that I can sing in. And I can accompany myself moderately well, and playing my own songs. And my songs are very much inspired by like a Sarah Bareilles, or maybe a little bit of like Indigo Girls. And it was like pop, girly, acoustic singer-songwriter, okay? And you can imagine that maybe the first show I should have tried to play and book myself in would have been like a coffee shop. That feels very coffee shop,
yeah,
right?
Or a lesbian bar.
Right. Like, I mean, I did have a little bit of Indigo Girls going on. And I instead played my very first show at a bar in the Lower East Side called, your thing just fell over.
It's got a
Otto's
lid.
Shrunken Head was the name of this bar. And it was like a tiki bar that was also really run down and sketchy, and you could probably get a venereal disease in the bathroom. And the people that were the patrons of said bar were not listening to my music.
Of course not.
Do you know what I mean? They're not hitting up my MySpace page.
They're there to get some
to find
drinks.
my jams. They were like, what is she doing here? They were like, it was a weird night at Otto's, right? And no one listened, but my friends from Guitar Center came, and they listened.
Well, that's good.
And they cheered me on. They were very supportive. They were great people.
Would
I
have been funny if
painted
they
an
hadn't
ugly
showed
picture
up.
of how they were like heathens, but what did you say? If they had not showed up,
Yeah,
that would
that'd
have been
been really
really
funny.
mean if they hadn't, but they did. And Nobody listened to me at all.
That's so sad.
And I probably didn't, except for them, I probably didn't remember all of my lyrics. I probably didn't sing all that well, but I just got through it. And I remember thinking, I don't think I'm ever going to forget that this was my first show in New York City. I did go on to eventually play in like pianos.
Carnegie
and
Hall.
like, no, not Carnegie Hall. More, I was thinking like more my vibe, like the coffee shop kind of vibe.
Did you ever go to, not Marie Callender's, what's it called? Marie's Crisis?
What? Is that a bar?
Yeah, it's.
I don't think I did.
It's in the West Village. I was there just over Christmas. It's in the basement of this little place, and it's a, how would you say? It's not karaoke. Well, at times I think it is, but it's basically the whole crowd's the karaoke crowd. Like there's someone playing and singing show tunes, and the entire crowd's just there to sing show tunes.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
I eventually found my spots
you never went there.
to go play, but I'm glad I had that performance because it was humbling, and it was very much like, well, you got to start somewhere, I guess. And if you're gonna like biff it and do a terrible job, it's great to do a terrible job in a tiny rundown tiki bar where no one was shrunken head. They were like these weird, those are like voodoo statue idol things. Those were the little shrunken head idols, like these tiki whatever. And anyway, they were all over. It was horrifically decorated. But like, that's where you want to fail in a way, you know, in a place where it's like, no one cares. Like, don't be so precious about it, you know? I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I had that performance experience. And then my last show I played in New York was at, oh my gosh, what was the name of that place? It was a significant venue. It was actually hard to book yourself there. It was in the Lower East Side. Oh my gosh, I'm going to forget the name of it. And I can't remember if it's there anymore. I want to say they might have shut it down, but it was kind of like a big deal. I got to sell tickets, and I sold a bunch of tickets.
Oh,
and it
the
was
Rockwell.
Like, no, it was bigger than Rockwell.
Wasn't it the Rockwell?
Rockwood.
Yeah.
It was bigger than Rockwood, but
Madison Square Gardens.
that was it. No, it was a really cool venue, and I had a full band playing the EP I had released, and it was my EP release show. I sold tickets, and I sold out. You know, I hit my number I needed to. I actually made a little bit of money, and I paid my band, and I felt like a real musician. And then I moved away, and I stopped living in New York shortly thereafter. But it was a
short career.
It was well, I mean, that was like a 5-year journey.
Yeah.
The whole thing, but that was like my last show. And all that to say is, there's no way I could have started there. You know what I mean? I was not ready.
Right.
I was not ready at all. I didn't know what I was doing when I moved there, but I was 21.
Yeah. I think it's always fascinating too and this is another thing I love about the live element, is it's very common, especially in a city like Nashville or LA or New York, any of the big creative hubs, for, you know, an artist to show up and the band gets the music right before you play.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're so dialed in and so good. These cats all over these cities that make their living doing this. But it always still like blows me away and fascinates me how smoothly those things go.
Yeah.
Right? Afterwards, you're going to be in the green room or backstage and be like, man, did you hear that third song on that second verse? Like, yeah. Like, no one out there knows it.
Yeah.
And they think you've been doing this. I get a lot because when I do the big band shows, I have Jim, my MD, is always a staple standard. He's always there. But the players change in and out as they're available, right? From the stable of players that he works with. So I'm especially the horn players, almost always have different horn players. And it still always gives me a little chuckle when, you know, after a show, they're just, wow, you all must play together all the time. Like, that's amazing. Like, they think you live in a house and just practice together all the time.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
No, it's literally like, yeah, we just met an hour ago. Or this one's always funny too. This has happened a lot. Carlos doesn't know this. Like, you know, sometimes in a live show, you'll be like, all the way from, you know, Venezuela, we have Carlos Santiago on guitar. I gave him another country, I know. And all the way from, you know, Portland, Maine, we have Shelby Rollins.
I am not from Portland, Maine.
And they all think after the show, like,
that I traveled all that way.
No, it's like, how do you all get together to practice?
Yeah.
It's like, no, these are show techniques and little tricks of like, we're just trying to jazz this up.
Right. Jason,
but also just giving context to like where people are from.
Speaking of your show, when are you going to finally invite me to sing with you?
Oh, you want to do that?
I've been in a big band jazz number.
I know. You said that a minute ago. I kind of like let it go in one ear out the other. We should do that.
I would love to.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, let's turn that on.
Done.
Yes, I've learned from... I feel like my toxic trait in live performance...
Ooh, now it's getting good.
Yeah, right. Is that I have... I think not... And this is something I teach on a lot. It's this reality of like, I think people would be shocked to know the statistical amounts of people that like love to sing but don't love their own voice.
For sure.
And I think non-musicians
or don't love to perform.
Or musicians alike, yeah, would be like, wow, really? That's universal? Yes, like so much. And it's not just me. No, it is really, really common. And I mean, I struggled with that for so long of not really loving my own voice. And as a result, like the fruit of that reality was that I procrastinated performing. I dragged my feet in pursuing like the business side of things because of ultimately a little bit of a lack of self-confidence.
Sure.
And like I love to do this. I feel like it's in me. I'm wired to do this. I'm supposed to do this, but I don't love my voice. So how do you reconcile that? How do you live in that reality? And to truly pursue it means that you are going all in on you. And that means you have to face that great fear. And is it true? Is it true that I'm not as good as I hope I could possibly be?
No, in most cases it's not true. Especially if people are telling you true, right?
Yeah. Oh, you gave me the broken chair.
Oh, good. It's kind of like that same.
I'm about to fall out of this chair.
I wish you had fallen out of that chair.
Telling this very sad
It's kind of
story.
like that same, theory as well. It's like so many people don't like the way they look. Yeah. So therefore they won't stand in front of people on stage to speak or sing.
Yeah.
They won't get on social media because they can't get past that. I mean, on one hand, I'm always like, you should not walk out of your house if you don't like how you look, because it's what we all see, right? So the problem is not the camera phone and how you put it on your Instagrams.
Right.
It's you and how you look. So you got to get comfortable with that, and you got to love it. And your voice.
You have to get comfortable, and you have to learn to love
it. That's it. It is what it is. You can get better at it.
Do that in
you
New
can
York.
do things to take better care of yourself and look better. You can actually get it modified if you want. You
sure
go for it. But you have to, at the root of it, learn to love yourself and accept it, and then offer it to people.
Yeah.
With your voice, with your performance.
Yeah.
With your person.
And I remember thinking,
I give myself away all the time.
That was you what?
That didn't come out right. As I started to say, I'm like, nope, that's not. Let's wind that back.
That's not what I meant.
But I do mean like. Daily, you do too. We're giving ourselves away on social media, in sessions, in podcasts like this,
Right. You have to face that constantly.
In meetings.
And you have to master that in a way.
Yeah.
And it might be just something that you sort of grapple with for your whole life in the way that it sort of has layers and it unpacks more and more as you go on and heal and all of that.
I wonder why they never called a green apple a grapple.
Fun question. I don't know. Maybe because grapple already was a word.
Yeah, you see where my brain is at
there we go.
8th hour.
So I didn't figure that out until way later, kind of after I had sort of laid down some performance ambition. And being able to push yourself out of that place gives you so much capacity to love the art that you create.
Yeah, totally. That's good. I like that.
That was like my biggest lesson from that.
Yeah. I think we should have Carlos reenact that now. And we'll end scene.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that was a great story. This was a fun one, Shelby.
Yeah.
I like our little fun stories of like life happenstances, because it's like they're always little windows into.
That's one of my most self-deprecating stories.
Yeah, I like that. That was good. Well, shall we end scene and
end scene?
Call it a day.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to the Vocal Lab podcast. Ready to join the top ranks of the music industry? Don't forget to follow and subscribe for more first-class conversations that make the extraordinary your new ordinary. Until next time, keep striving for your top note.